Hey everybody, I'm Connor, that's Doug, and this is the Bethel School District Presents podcast, and we have a fantastic show for you this week. We are on location at Thompson Elementary, sitting with Brenda Thompson, the assistant principal.
Brenda, thank you so much for joining us. You actually started working in Bethel as a paraeducator. Now you're an assistant principal here at Thompson. Tell us your story and what inspired this journey of yours.
My journey started as a student here in Bethel.
Wow.
And I had an amazing teacher in my second and fourth grade because I was held back in first grade because my reading wasn't up to par. And she came in my second grade, and she would come in like once a week and spend some time with me and help me practice. And by the time I left elementary school, I was reading at a college level.
Wow.
So I really fell in love with education, and I really fell in love with how she made me feel, because that was during a time where I felt invisible. My parents adopted 3 kids, and then they had some high needs. Like, looking back, I didn't know what those high needs were then, but now I do. And I realized that at that point I was feeling invisible, and she was there to support me. She said, I looked at her, we're still friends, we went on a cruise together. We're still friends, and she said, I looked at her in the second grade and I said, I want to be a teacher just like you, and that is what started my journey, and it was never failed. I've always wanted to be a teacher. This gig right here was not even in the plan. It wasn't even on the radar for me until further on in my career. Like I said, I was a military brat, and I was a military spouse, so I met my husband, we had kids, and it's just took me a little bit longer to become that teacher. But with the support of my husband and my family, I was able to do that. I started going to school online, which was very unusual, but it was, I wanted to continue in that, and he really encouraged me because he was gone 3 times to Iraq for a year plus, so it always felt like I was a single mom.
Wow,
with the 3 kids that we had. But it was always, he was just like, you know what, let's go on school online. If you don't like it, we'll get you to go back to class. You know, and I've had the support of my family taking care of my kids during all this, and I was like, oh, no. I took my first class, and I got an A, and I was like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
You know, and so I got my associate degree from Pierce, and then I got my bachelor's from Ashford online, and then I did my Rio Salado teaching program, so I did a lot of it online. And I completed my program when we were stationed in Indiana. They made him leave Fort Lewis because he'd been to Iraq 3 times. So we had to move to a different state, and he wanted to be a part of the kids graduating and be able to experience that and spend time with them. So we went there, and I finished my program with the support of him and amazing admin at Perry Township in their school system, Southport High School. And I was able to take classes and do my student teaching there. They held my job for 13 weeks while I did student teaching within their district. And then I was able to come back and finish that up. And then they hired me as their computer teacher for a little bit before I started applying back here in the state of Washington, because I wanted to come back where my grandkid. I had one little granddaughter who I missed, so I wanted to come back here and be with my family. So I was able to do an online interview, or phone interview, I should say, and I got hired in another district. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say. For their classroom, who they didn't have a teacher for 3 months. So just being able to experience all of those things and being able to have the support of people just encouraging me. So then I went from that school to another school within that same district. I just spent 10 years there before coming here. They all gave me the encouragement to do different things as far as leadership, because, again, being an assistant principal or principal was not on my radar. It was just, I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to be the best teacher I can. I'm going to represent and make sure that my students know that I'm here to support them, and I want to represent for the students that look like me.
I love that.
What an amazing full circle moment, too. One, it's inspiring to hear those stories about teachers that have that impact on their students, but it's especially inspiring when that actually brings the student to become a teacher, and hopefully, and I'm sure you have, inspired other students to do the same thing. First, let's just give a shout out to that, was it Evergreen you said?
Yes.
Let's give a shout out. Let's name that teacher, because even if she's not here anymore, she deserves some recognition. So
when she was my teacher, she was Sarah Barnes, and then Sarah Spry, and now she's Sarah Krakow.
Well, Sarah, What an awesome job. And I'm sure Sarah has countless stories like this. It sounds like she was an amazing teacher, and we love having these amazing teachers in our school district.
We do, and I love in your story the amount of people that supported you from Sarah onwards to your spouse, and then all the people that just encouraged you along the way. As you started, at what point were you a paraeducator? Is that when you were taking classes to become a teacher?
In this district, I was the paraeducator from 2002 to 2011.
Wow.
And the only reason I left is because my husband was in the military, and they told him he had to leave Fort Lewis because he was too many times in the rotation.
And during that time, then you were in a classroom, I presume. And
I was in many places in the district. So I started out with a student that went to Fir Grove, which is on Western State grounds. So they transported him there, and I met him there for, I think that was about 2 to 3 years. And then I came back in the district, and I worked in the transition program for about a year or two. It's like they're all kind of mixed together.
Right.
But I also spent several years at Nancy's Trail as a one-on-one in their FOSS program. I did a stint at Graham for a little bit where I transitioned a couple of kids from one school to another school with some one-on-one support. And I also was at Capelson for 2 years, or about a year and a half with one student. So it was wherever in the summer they would call and say, Brenda, we need you to go here. Yeah. We need your expertise here. We want you to go here. We need you working with these kids here. The longest I spent was at Nancy's Trail for about 3 years before I moved to Clover Creek.
And those are tough, demanding jobs. My wife was a para in the transition department, so I know that is a tough gig. And let's just take a minute to shout out our paras. They are often the unsung heroes of our district, having been a para and now leading a school. What can you say about the importance of the work paras do day in and day out?
Paras are essential. They are the backbone of our buildings and our districts. Our paras are the ones that see our kids maybe the most versus our certificated staff. They're the ones who get to know our kids and spend the most time with them instructionally and personally, sometimes when they have meltdowns. They are our foundation, and they are essential. And I believe that we need to keep they are just paras out of our mouths. That is such disrespect.
Absolutely.
So they are powerful people within our district, and they support us in whatever aspect. I have some amazing people here that have stepped up and helped with kids to support them. I love our paras. I love all the paras across the districts. They are our heroes. They're the ones that do the work. They are the ones that do the work. We're just here to support them.
Love that. So in 11 years of being a paraeducator, what skills did you learn that you're still using today? Because I assume that some of that just comes with you and becomes part of who you are. Mm-hmm.
Building those relationships, learning from each other. I really enjoy getting to know the staff. I really enjoy getting to know the 600 plus kids that we have here. So just in the communication with each other, working as a team, because we all are here for the same thing. We are all here for the success of all of our students, whether in our building or all other buildings. That communication is important, that working together is important, and collaboration is important, and to be able to support each other. So those are some of the skills I've learned, and some of them is just listening. We don't always have to talk. We just need to listen. Listen to what they're saying, what they're sharing, kids, families, and understanding our intent sometimes. It's not the impact that we make on them, but owning that impact that we have, whether it's positive or negative. So those are some of the things, and just being there and helping and supporting with whatever you might need.
Absolutely. I love that. People need to be heard, and that's something that gets overlooked a lot. And so I love that that's something that you brought with you.
And switching gears here a little bit, Thompson's home to the elementary classes of our district's dual language Spanish immersion program. How does having that program here impact your job as an assistant principal?
It impacts it in a couple ways. One, I'm still on the learning curve. Mm-hmm. I'm learning every day about the program and what it needs and things like that. But another thing is just recently is making sure that our students have what they need along with their families. So whatever curriculum that we get, making sure that we go back to the district and say, hey, we didn't get this in Spanish or other languages that are needed. Again, for me, it's just that learning curve and being able to come here and help and support this great dual language, because this year they have their first students in the high school. So that program is starting in the high school this year. So, it's stand the test of time, and I want to make sure that I'm supporting that and helping bring that forth.
I love that. And I'm feeling a little old now because I did a story here when the kindergarten class, the first kindergarten dual language class started, knowing those kids are now in high school. Man, it's like when your kids hit high school and you're like, oh my gosh, where did these years go? I love it. That's fantastic. And you mentioned it a little bit, talking about these cultures, celebrating the cultures. I think that's one thing the dual language program does an amazing job at. How does that add to the experience of becoming a bilingual student to learn about the culture as well?
Learning about others and being accepting of others, which we kind of need now. I think it's important that they understand the different traditions and family culture and things like that to bridge that. And then, of course, this is going to transpire when they get into, after high school, being able to find jobs that need bilingual students or bilingual employees, things like that. So I think it's going to help them, not just now, learning about each other, but learn about themselves and be productive in the communities that they start to live into.
Yeah, it's great. It's great for students to see that the world's a bigger place than their neighborhood or their school. I really think that's awesome.
And that is one thing that obviously Thompson has excelled at over the years. But excluding that, tell us something else Thompson's doing right this year. Do you have any celebrations or shout-outs for your team?
Of course. This team is amazing. And we got to also remember that this year there's 2 new admin in this building. And with that being said, there's also, we calculated about 25 to 30 new people, new positions. So just building this culture that we are all learning and growing, just being able to thrive together, to support each other and to support our students, I'm shouting out to all of them. I'm shouting out to the paras that have supported students that needed the little extra support coming into school. I'm shouting out to my mentor, my teammate. Mr. Gonzalez is a really good mentor, and just I really love working with him, and we drive really well together. I think I'm the one that has the high energy, so he's more calm, cool, and collected, and I'm the high energy running around. This whole building is working together, considering there's a lot of new. There's a lot of new here, but we're all working to make sure that we're creating that new, but creating this culture of learning and supporting our students and each other to create this environment that we all can be appreciative and celebrate.
Absolutely. I'm glad you bring that up, too. I think as parents probably assume the school just kind of, as long as their kids here, the staff's probably all the same. And so, but from an administrative point, changing 1 or 2 people out can really impact the building. Changing 20 out is huge. Mm-hmm. So that's really awesome. I know you guys are building a great collaborative culture here in the building for our students and the staff. So from paraeducator to assistant principal, you are obviously not shy about dreaming big. What is next for you? I'm
going to be here for a while. As the assistant principal, I know that I still want to learn and grow. Coming from another district to Bethel, I'm just trying to get those procedures and protocols and things down. But I think becoming a principal within the district, but then it's going to be probably still doing this, but also enhancing my nonprofit with my husband.
Wow.
So yeah, I would love to get a building so that he can work out of the building and do what he loves versus us coming home and working at night.
Right.
So I think that's my goal. But being in Bethel is where I think I'm going to stay unless a higher power tells me it's time to go. But right now, this is where I'm supposed to be. And this is where I need to be, and this is where I want to be.
I love that. And I don't think we can share the name of your nonprofit, but what kind of work does your nonprofit do?
We make product to be able to sell to support homeless people and do like backpack supply giveaways to students every year. We do giveaways like that. We cook food and deliver food through the homeless in Tacoma or wherever that's needed. But yeah, so it's just something that we love doing. And he created it after he retired in the military, and he joined me in the last district, and he's still there doing tech. But yeah, we go home, and that's what we do at night, and it's really powerful, loving work that we want to give back to the community, especially the communities that we work in.
To both of you doing worthy work, basically sun up to sundown. I'm feeling very lazy here. So when this episode comes out, undoubtedly some of our paraeducators will listen. What advice would you give to some of these paras who may be inspired by your story and want to kind of follow in your footsteps?
Do what you want to do. Find the people that you need that are going to surround you, support you, and move forward. Whether that's might not be in a straight line, but continue on that drive. You might take a few hiccups. It's okay. continue to do what you want to do and work through whatever you need to work through, and find those people that are going to support you and those people that are going to raise you up and those people that are going to push you. Because there's going to be days that you're going to be like, oh, no, I'm good right where I am. I'm fine here. But then my people were the ones that looked at me and said, why not? Why not now? Why not right now?
Absolutely. Great advice for everybody, really.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic advice. I just want to circle back to the top before we wrap things up. You have been to Germany a couple of times, first with your family growing up and then with your husband when he was stationed there. What memories do you have of those times?
We did a lot of traveling. I went with my family and then twice with my dad and then once with my husband. The one with my husband is the one that I remember the most, is because we would pack up the kids and we would take marks. At that time it was marks, and we'd take cash, and we would just go get lost. Because you can't just drive down the freeway or the Autobahn and get off on the exit and turn around. You miss your stop. You can't just turn around. It's like you get off the Autobahn. It's like, oh, we're like 15 miles away from where we're supposed to be. How do we find our way back? But it was just having those opportunities with him and the kids just to get lost and look at the different things. We went to the Heidelberg Castle. We went to Ramstein, things like that. It was just those experiences with him to be able to, and then find the different bases and kind of hang out.
There are worse places to get lost than Germany. I would volunteer for that right now.
Well, Brenda Thompson, assistant principal at Thompson Elementary School, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for the work that you're doing with your staff here and the students. These kids are better because you're here, and we thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
We will be back again next week with another great show. Brenda, can you just say your name one more time?
Brenda Thompson.
And so do you prefer just Brenda Douglas, or do you go by Brenda White Douglas for when we introduce you?
You giving her my name?
Thompson.
Yeah, I go by Brenda Thompson.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Brenda Thompson, I prefer.
Brenda Douglas.
I was like, are you messing with me or?
No, it's slightly early.
Oh, my God.
Sorry, and I was so embarrassed that I missed your answer to that. So just Brenda
Thompson.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, everybody. I'm Connor. That's Doug. And this is the Bethel School District Presents podcast. And we have a fantastic show for you today. We have a very special guest. We are on location at Thompson Elementary with Assistant Principal Brenda Douglas. Brenda, is it okay if you're just Brenda Douglas from now on? We can easily make it down to the courthouse and get that name changed. I think it might be easier for me.
I don't think my husband would appreciate that.
Tell him it's for the podcast. It's important.